alternatives. More at nationalinvestors.com.
Support for today's Bearcat broadcast comes from the Bearcat Bookstore and the J.W. Jones Student Union. The bookstore supplies Bearcat apparel for men, women, and kids, as well as gifts, accessories, and Northwest logo items. More at nwmissouri.bncollege.com.
3:09 left in the first half. Northwest Missouri State up by 2 over Central Missouri, 33-31. With Matt Gorder, I'm John Coffey, and Matt, Northwest has slowly got right back in this ballgame.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do when Central was shooting as well as they were. You just got to wait till that passes, and it looks like it may have passed, but Northwest doing a good job getting the ball in the paint, keeping the ball moving offensively, and knocking down free throws.
Snyder at the free throw line, now 4 for the free throw line as he hits the first. Gives Northwest a 34-31 lead. 6'7" sophomore at Prairie Village, Kansas, back with his second free throw on the way. Good. 35-31, Northwest in front. Dickerson into the front court, will dribble to the left side. Gives it on the left wing for T.J. White. White out front. Drives the lane, right side on Woods, lays it up off the rim left, rebound Wallace for Northwest. Wallace took a shot to his ear from the elbow of T.J. White as he came down with that rebound. He'll take it across the timeline left side, guarded by Bruns. Cat spread out the offense as he wheels back to man-to-man defense. Wallace dribbles right at the free throw line, pulls up. Now brings it to Woods, fakes right, goes left, through the lane he goes. As he does, bumped by White and a foul coming up. And this will be T.J. White's third foul. So 2 players, 1 for each side, and a little bit of foul trouble now with White picking up the third, a key player in the Mule lineup, and Connor Crooker's been on the bench for a while with 3. The Northwest getting some quality minutes out of Anthony Woods once again. Woods going to line. He'll shoot a 1-and-1 opportunity. That's the 9th team foul on Central Missouri. Woods this year a 43% shooter at the line, knocks down the first. Woods got off to a really rough start at the free throw line early in this season, but really in the last couple weeks, his free throw shooting has been much better. 36-31, Northwest Missouri State building on their lead. Second free throw rims out by Anthony, and it's a rebound to the Mules. Cats up by 5, their largest lead. The Mules have led by 10 in this first half on a couple occasions. Down the lane left, a bump and a foul as Rakeem and Dickerson went dribbling down the left side, and the foul goes on Matt Wallace. That'll be number 2 on Matt.
And it turns out not to be a bad foul because there was a nice pass down low to Hughes. He would have gone up with a dunk pretty easily had that foul not been committed.
Bruns to inbound baseline left against the Bearcat man-to-man defense. Inbound off the left side, finds Dickerson. Drives through the lane, jump stop, up within the lane, misses off the left side. Kozak clears the rebound for Northwest. And we'll give it to Pitts. And he'll hand off to Wallace, who will take across midcourt. Into the front court near the left side, guarded by Bruns. Dribbles to the free throw line, pulls up the dribble. Needs someone to help out. Popping out is Woods. He'll take the pass. Woods to the free throw line, left side for Wallace, just inside the arc. Guarded by Hughes. Gets a pick by Kozak, brings it out front, Pitts. 11 on the shot clock, just under 2 minutes left in the first half. Pitts right corner for Woods, tries the baseline, back to Pitts, wide open on the wing, long 3 on the way, rims around it out. Rebound tip from Kozak goes to Bruns for Central Missouri. 5-point Bearcat lead. Dickerson to the top of the key. Back pedals, looks back at his head coach Doug Carlskin as the Mules spread out their offense. Dickerson to the right side, now dribbles out front. A little trap out front of Kozak and Woods. They go low left side for Hughes. Windmills a pass right side. Now into the right corner. 3 up and good. They got it into the right corner for Brad Woodson. Woodson with his first 3 of the game. 5 points total. It's a 2-point game. Northwest in front 36-34 with 1:19 left in the half. Wallace to the top of the key. Pulls up. Left side Snyder. Gives it to Woods. Near the left sideline. Ball knocked out of his hands by Bruns. They'll belong to Northwest as they'll inbound with 22 seconds left on the shot clock. Already in the game. Kozak goes to the sideline. 2-point Northwest lead, 36-34 as Northwest will inbound all the way into the backcourt, chased down by Wallace for Northwest. Takes it in the front court left side, out to the top of the key, dribbles right. Trying to direct traffic off the right side, guarded by Hughes. Pulls up the double, low right side for Doherty, posting up with Bruns. Now a double team, back out front Wallace. 5 on the shot clock. Wallace steps in front of the arc, takes the jumper, misses too hard. Rebound tipped by Woods as his jersey was held, trying to come up with the rebound. Here comes the Mules on the fast break. 2 on 2. They go left side. Epps 3 on the way. Good. Epps knocks down his first puck of the game and gives the Mules a 1-point lead, 37-36 with 37 seconds left in the first half. Woods into the front court. Gillis to the left wing. Backpedals. Northwest spreads things out. Just a couple seconds difference between the shot clock and the game clock as Pitts dribbles between the circles. Looks left side for Snyder. 16 on the shot clock. Bounce pass left side. Gets to Wallace. Wallace gets a screen by Doherty. 10 on the shot clock. Goes right side for Woods in the right corner. 6 on the shot clock. Dribbles to the right baseline. And a double team lost the handle on it. Picked up by Doherty. Stripped out of his hands. Control left side. Picked up by Dickerson on the break with 1 second left. Pulls up. Takes a long three. Misses too hard. And the Mules will go into the locker room at halftime with a 1-point lead over Northwest. 37-36 in a battle for first place in MIAA. We'll be back and have more for you at halftime right after this 90-second timeout on the Bearcat Radio Network.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network comes from the City of Maryville, home to Mazingo Lake Recreation Park. The park provides residents and visitors with an 18-hole golf course and 9-hole junior course coming in the spring of 2015. More on Mazingo's golf offerings at mazingolake.com.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network is provided by Watkins True Value, located in Maryville, Nebraska City and Red Oak. Watkins True Value provides outdoor power equipment from Steel, including chainsaws, trimmers, blowers, and shredders. More at truevalue.com/Watkins True Value.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network comes from Walker Body Shop and Towing at 420 North Market Street in Maryville. Celebrating more than 50 years in business, Walker's provides complete collision repair and 24-hour towing for cars and trucks. More at 660-582-3104.
Support for today's broadcast comes from Oak Point in Maryville. Their memory care program offers residents emotional and social support, art, music, pet therapies, and more. More at 660-562-2799 or at oakpointmaryville.com.
Support for today's Bearcat broadcast comes from Carson's Sports Grill on the Maryville Square. Carson's is open for lunch or dinner and offers a selection of sandwiches, appetizers, and more for dine-in or carry-out. More at 660-582-2699.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Heinlein Home Furnishings at 1411 South Main in Maryville, supplying living room, dining room, and bedroom furnishings for the home, as well as mattresses and flooring. More information is available at HeinleinHomeFurnishings.com.
We're back at the half of Bearcat Arena. A 1-point game. Central Missouri in front of Northwest, 37-36. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the Bearcat Radio Network.
Northwest Missouri State basketball on KXCV Maryville, KRNW Chillicothe, the flagship stations of the Bearcat Radio Network.
Mules built a 10-point lead at a couple of occasions in the first half. Northwest came back, led by 5. It's a 1-point game at halftime here. The Mules on top of Northwest, 37-36.
Yeah, we talked about how the Mules would eventually come back down to earth shooting the basketball. They did a little bit. They hit 12 of their first 13 shots. That's what they shot in the first 15 minutes or so, right about 15 minutes of the game. And that one miss that they had during that time, there was a follow-up dunk that made up for it just like that. But the last 5 minutes of the half, they were 2 of 7 from the field, and that starts to get you back a little bit more toward normal. And the big key was through that 15-minute stretch and the 12 of 13 shooting, Northwest stayed right there, and then even toward the end of that stretch, gained the lead over Central Missouri. So I think it says a lot for Northwest not panicking, playing on an even keel through this first half. It's a 1-point game here at the half, so basically nothing's been decided yet. The last 20 minutes of basketball, if not maybe more, will be what decides this matchup today.
Going into this game, Northwest felt they would have some opportunities with some ball screens, getting some nice pick and rolls, and getting the post players for Northwest involved with Kozad and Doherty.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they've done, and not just with those guys, and they have gotten some looks inside, but we've also seen some screens, drives, and then with the help side defense coming over, it's like Anthony Woods has had a couple of buckets inside because of that, but it's just a matter of who's cutting to the basket. There's been a lot of people open when they use that pick outside and get a good drive in, because Central does a good job of sliding over on the help side but not rotating when that defender slides over, and Northwest is taking advantage of that lack of rotation.
Again, we're at the half of the men's game, a battle for the MIAA title. Central Missouri up by 1 on Northwest, 37-36. When we come back, Matt will talk with the head coach of the Northwest women's basketball team, Michael Smith, as the Northwest women season came to a close with a 74-64 loss to Central Missouri. Matt will talk with Coach Smith right after this timeout on the Bearcat Radio Network. Back in 90 seconds on the Bearcat Radio Network.
Support for today's Bearcat broadcast comes from the Student Body Screen Printing and Embroidery, located on 4th Street in Maryville. The Student Body provides Bearcat fanwear as well as custom screen printing and embroidery for teams, clubs, and businesses throughout the Bearcat Nation.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Brown's Shoe Fit in Maryville. Located in the Mary Mart Shopping Center, Brown's offers athletic shoes from Nike, Brooks, Asics, and New Balance, as well as fashion boots for women and work boots. More at 660-582-4641.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network comes from St. Francis Hospital and Health Services in Maryville, offering MyChart, an online resource for patients to access personal health information. More about St. Francis Hospital and Health Services online at stfrancismaryville.com.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network comes from Northwest Audiovisual, providing residential and commercial customers with sales, service, and installation of TVs and home theaters, as well as paging and security systems. More information is available at nwav.com. Support for the Bearcats comes from Northwest alumni Vinny Vaquero and Trish Herzog of Vaquero & Herzog RE/MAX First Choice, specializing in residential real estate in the Kansas City metropolitan area. More at vaqueroherzog.com or at 816-806-7777.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Pitsenberger Auto Body in Maryville, providing auto collision repair and taking the dents out of accidents. Pitsenberger's also installs Ultimate Truck bed liners. More at 660-582-4599 or pitsautobody.com.
At the half of the men's match up, Central Missouri with a 1-point lead over Northwest Missouri State, 37-36. And joining us now is Northwest women's coach Michael Smith. And Coach, I know we saw some of the same that we've seen. You had a good first half of basketball. The team built up an 18-point lead, but as good as the first half was, Central came out, started the second half, and really played as good in the second half as your team did in the first half.
Yeah, we had a lot of energy. Oh gosh, you know, in the first half it was great. Tremendous crowd behind us. I mean, a lot going on. The whiteout. You know, I'd like to thank Student Body and Carson Sports Grill for, you know, what they've done for us as far as this year, and you know, to get this put together today with handing out shirts and stuff at the door. It's great. It was a nice way for our 3 seniors, you know, to play in front of a crowd like this. There's not very many places like Northwest. That's what I tried to tell our kids after the game with all of our returners, you know, as far as it's a privilege because we have the best fans in the country. And but back to the game, yeah, as you mentioned, couldn't have played any better. I mean, and it wasn't, we just played with, finally we saw energy and effort from our kids in the first half, and then started the second half. It wasn't necessarily anything that Central was doing. We just played not to lose, I really thought. I thought we came out and played not to lose, and I don't think anybody can argue with me from that standpoint, from, you know, people and the fans, you know. And what can you do with that? You call 2 timeouts to try to kill that run. I think it was 11-0 run or something like that. And, you know, it is what it is. And we couldn't recover. I mean, we couldn't recover. And it goes back to whenever you've got some kids, especially you got some older kids that have never experienced winning consistently. They don't understand how to go about it and how to finish people off. And, I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know that. I mean, it is what it is. But we fought hard.
Well, the offseason starts, I know, earlier than you wanted it to, but take us through the process. What happens now? Because you've talked a lot this year about this is a process. This is build the program, build the Bearcats up. What's the process from this point forward now?
Well, we've got to evaluate a lot. You know, obviously we've got film from practices that we've had on our players. I've got notes from things. Obviously, our games are all, you know, within our editing system. So first of all, we got to take a look at, you know, because honestly, it was very disappointing for me. It was a disappointing season. I mean, you know, I was excited at the beginning of the year. I really was. I've been doing this long enough to know. I thought we had, you know, I didn't think we were necessarily going to go out and win a conference championship, but I didn't think we would finish where we finished either. And so we got to evaluate. We've got to take a hard look at, okay, what do we I know where we want to go. I know where I want us to go. But now I've got to sit back and think, okay, what's it going to take to get there? And so that's, you know, that's a process. You know, I'll sit down with my staff, but in the long run, it's my decision. You know, that's part of the job that comes with the territory. You know what I mean? Being the guy in charge of your, because I'm here for our program, and it's not going to happen overnight, and I understand that. But I also know that we definitely got to make some progress, and then once we once we get things figured out as far as our class for next year and such, and we'll start in the off season. Can't do that until April. Try to get better in summer. Try to go through all that process again, and we've got to be ready to compete. I think our new kids understand what the MIAA is about. It's unfortunate that it took us as long as it did, and we still finished where we is. But we can't go back and change it, Matt. You and I both know, we've talked about it off the air. If anything, hopefully it'll make me a better coach as well.
Well, I know it's been frustrating, Coach, but I know I can speak for the fans where I say thank you for your openness. I know that's sometimes tough to do during a tough season, but we definitely appreciate you letting us go on that ride in that process, because we know where you want to head as well.
And we are. We will, Matt. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Appreciate what you guys have done for us. We're here, obviously support our guys. If anything, just being able to look up at what Ben has done, and to know that it took him a couple years to get to where it's at, and finding the kids that want to buy in and things like that. We're going to get there. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I want our fans to be patient, because I think once we get there, they're going to enjoy where we're at and where we're going to continue to stay. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I'm a Bearcat through and through. I'm excited about where we're going to be, our future. Our future starts tomorrow with me, and we'll go from there.
Michael Smith, head coach of the Northwest women's basketball team. Again, a loss to finish out the season a little bit earlier this afternoon. At the half of the men's game, 37-36, Central with a lead over Northwest. John will have first half stats after this. You're listening to the Bearcat Radio Network.
Support for the Bearcat Radio Network comes from Nottoway Valley Bank. Serving Northwest Missouri for more than 145 years, Nottoway Valley Bank now offers its customers mobile banking services. More information is available online at nvb.com. And from Tri-State Ford and Lincoln at 2017 South Main in Maryville, Tri-State offers the area a selection of new Ford and Lincoln automobiles as well as pre-owned vehicles. More at tristatefordlincoln.com or at 660-582-3677. Support also comes from Carson's Sports Grill on the Maryville Square. Carson's is open for lunch and sandwiches, appetizers, and more for dine-in or carry-out. More at 660-582-2699. Also from St. Francis Hospital and Health Services at 2016 South Main in Maryville. St. Francis's services include emergency mammography and obstetrics. More information is available at stfrancismaryville.com.
The Bearcat Radio Network.
The Bearcat Halftime Report, underwritten by Tri-State Ford Lincoln.
Welcome back to Bearcat Arena at the half. Northwest Missouri State down by 1 to Central Missouri, 37-36. As we look at some of the totals, first of all, for Northwest, shooting 54% from the field, 13 of 24. They're 2 of 9 from free throw range and 8 of 10 at the free throw line. Compare that with the Mules shooting 70% from the field in the first half. Unbelievable, especially in the first 10 minutes of the half. 14 of 20 overall, 5 of 7 from three-point range, and 4 of 10 at the free throw line. 40% at the line for the Mules. They shoot just a little bit under 66% at the line for the season. That's last in the MIAA at the free throw line. Rebounding totals fairly equal. The Bearcats with 12, Central Missouri with 11. Both teams are taking good control of the basketball with 4 turnovers apiece. And individually for Northwest, Grant Kozad leading the way with